Hey everybody, I see we're live. I'm not sure what happened there. We were for quite some time. Welcome back. This is day 3, I think. Who's keeping track anymore? This is day 3 of Live Open Studio. So this is the painting. I'll let people join and come on into the studio. This is day 3, and this is the painting that I've been working on while you've been busily at home working on your creative stuff. The purpose of this video, as you know, is to what is the purpose of this video? The purpose of this video, this daily open studio, is to get people into their creative space. I fully believe that during this self-isolation and quarantine time, that it's really important that we make time to just lose ourselves in creativity. So whether that means for you painting or drawing or singing or composing or poetry writing, it doesn't actually matter what it is that you are doing. I think it's important that during this time of self-isolation that we also work on self-reflection. And so I just arbitrarily chose a topic for today, and today's topic that I want you to keep in the back of your mind as you're working on your own stuff today is importance. Where do we value, or where do we place importance on things? So I often think of that when I'm painting, and what comes to me, because most of my paintings are quite abstract until I add the imagery, I often think about what's important. So it's not just what's important in a painting, but it's also what's important in just to us in general. And for me, I place a lot of value on complete unabashed creativity. And what that means for me is that headspace where I'm not planning, where I'm not thinking, where I'm not working on a series, where I'm not working in a certain color palette, where I'm not working from a place of guided, not even guided. Sorry, that's the wrong word. I can't even think of the word right now. But I'm thinking that creativity to me, like pure unabashed creativity, is when those ideas just come out of what seems like the ether, out of nowhere, and you're able to grab that idea and then translate it very quickly into a tangible thing. So I always say there's something divine in something being created. And whether that's a thought, an idea, a painting, it doesn't actually matter what it is. To me, the divine is in those things that weren't there, and then after you made them or brought them to life or breathed life in them, suddenly they were there. And it's like having children, right? So when you see a baby, you know that before that baby was born, that entire existence wasn't there. And it's the same with paintings. It's the same with writing a song. It's the same with writing a poem. It's the same with doing anything creative. Before it existed, it didn't. And I know that sounds, wow, she's such a philosopher. But it's true. Like when you really think about it, you are creating something, and we don't know where that power, that source, that creative idea comes from. So anyway, with that topic in mind, what's important to us? I believe that what's important to us comes to us in whispers. And I like to call those whispers my creative muse, because oftentimes that creative muse will say something, and I have to choose whether I act on it and then respond to it or not. And this is not all about, I'm going to turn the camera around and then I'm going to set it up so that I can start painting. So I'm very grateful to you all for being here, and I'm going to finish that thought in 1 second. Camera around. Hi everybody. So I kind of lost track of what day this is since I've actually combed my hair and things like that. So thank God for my painting hats and my aprons. There we go. Let me adjust that so you can see the painting. Almost. Better. The other thing I might try is I'm going to need response from you guys just with text. I'm going to try plugging in my my microphone. So if I go over here and I turn my back, that's what the volume will be like if I keep speaking at this tone. But now I'm going to try plugging in my microphone, and we'll see how that works. So I am not tech savvy at all. So that's hilarious. Siri just came on and asked me what a whoopsie daisy was. Hey, Sean Orange. I see Sean Orange has just joined the live studio, and if I remember correctly, Sean bought I'm not sure what my husband's doing these days, but maybe he'd like to come in and this is just terrible. Apologies. I'm going to try and change this because yesterday it was working and today it doesn't seem to be working very well. So let me know if you can hear me. Pardon this moment. You guys should be getting your own studios set up at this time anyway. There we go. So how's the volume? Anybody want to let me know how the volume is? The sound, because what I've done is, I'm getting a thumbs up. Is that good? Because what I've done is I've added a microphone, and I'm going to attempt to be working here as I'm talking, but everyone was telling me that as I turned my back, you couldn't hear me anymore. So I just want to make sure that, Rhonda's telling me it's good. Excellent. Okay, so let's get working on this piece while I continue talking about our topic of the day. So our topic of the day is, in a nutshell, what's important to you in art or in creativity and that sort of thing. And where I draw my cues from on what's important to me comes from what's important to me overall as a person. And then those currents translate into my art as well. So what that actually means is that if I find, that's why I use a lot of collage. I'll start there. If I find a piece of paper or something that has, this is a scrap of paper that I had used before, and it actually this was in my garbage pile. It had some paper or some paint on the edge, and now it's dry. And to me, now this piece it shows some age, it shows some decay, which is really interesting because that is something that I clearly appreciate is I know this is a weird word, but is decay. I actually really like rust. I love dirt. I love patina from a weathered finish, and that would be after a piece has been left to sit outside. And that can be a bike, that can be anything really. After it's been left to sit outside, and what time and the elements has done to it is something that I value and appreciate very much. I appreciate what nature has done to that piece. So in the addition of that little piece, I don't know, somebody might say to me, that was the wrong piece, or I've been told once by a gallery owner that I sometimes I add too much into my paintings, and I actually don't even know what that means. How can you actually add too much? But anyway, I suppose his opinion was that I add too much. And that's all well and good. But to me, what I value and what I appreciate is detail. I love little details. I love like how the little paper will pull off of an area. And I'm going to zoom in. Okay, I'll flip the camera. There we go. I'm going to zoom in on some areas and show you some of the things that I really like. So some of the things I like is from those scratches and those marks that I made on day one into the wet paint. I love how it's dried and now it looks kind of decayed and old. And I also love little bits of paper because I don't know if any of you remember, but the very first layer of my painting was all newsprint, and like really old newsprint from like the 70s or something like that. Oh, Expo 67, I think. So anyway, so I like the fact that all the papers and everything I've added on top still allow little bits and pieces to show through. So I still have this weird area in the middle that still has this bizarre ad in it for a shag wig. And I don't know, the whole thing, it's just gotten a bit dark over here and a bit muddy, so I may address that today. Yeah, so the detail comes from the scratches and the marks that I made on the very first day. And anyway, this is day 2 or this is day 3, but I've worked on this now for 2 hours. And today I'm going to try and pull this composition a little bit more together using some imagery. So to me, this is when I find a painting gets exciting because I love the abstract nature of my backgrounds. But for me, that's my background, right? So that's what I appreciate about them. I like that decay. I love that the look of things that are old and peeking through, and the fact that a lot of things are not complete and not legible. But what I actually get really excited about is when I add the imagery that makes this abstract painting into a story. So today we were talking about, our topic for the day is what's important to you. And what's important to you translates through all the currents of your life, including any art form, any creativity you do, your constant output, what you talk about, and that sort of thing. So for me, you would think that I'm a person who talks a lot about the past because I like all this old decay and that sort of thing. But it's really interesting to me when I reflect on this. To me, the story comes from the imagery that I'm going to add on top of this. So we'll get to that in a few minutes. But anyway, you guys have to start doing whatever it is you're doing today. So if you're watching this, just tuning in now, the purpose of these videos every day is to make you pull out some art supplies, make you pull out your journal, make you pull out your songwriting book, make you pull out your poem writing book, whatever it is that you do that is a creative outlet. Oh, hi, Terry, I see you there. Terry's like a wicked seamstress. So Terry, pull out your sewing machine today and just make something. I want everybody to pull out something that makes you the most creative. And even if what you produce isn't necessarily like the product and all products and that sort of thing, I believe that in this time, when we're in self-isolation and quarantine and everything else, it's a great time to go inward. And for me, to go inward is to tap into my creativity. So that's the purpose of these videos. It's meant to inspire you to pull out your creative tools and just to make something that didn't exist yesterday. Okay? So, and if you are, I'm going to flip this around. If you are following me for a couple days now and you have been making stuff, then good for you. I think that is absolutely spectacular. I can't wait to see what you're making or what you've written, or even if you write jokes or memes, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all a creative outlet. And I'm really hoping that you'll share them in the comments and that you'll share the link to this live video every day. Because as I mentioned, the purpose is just to get the world thinking creatively instead of listening to all the news reports and there's a lot of fake news going around too, right? So we have to be careful of all that, and we have to stay true to our creativity at this time, because to me, I really believe that the power of creativity is going to get through a lot of us through this uncertainty. And yeah, I think that's the best word for it, really. It's just uncertainty. How do we know anything right now? I just love some of my friends who are always saying, oh, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Or they say, oh, when everything goes back to normal. And you know, bravo that people are hopeful that things will go back to normal. But who knows what normal means, right? And who knows what the new norm is going to be. And the reality is no one can really predict that, I guess. We just have to stay true to who we are. Remember what's important. In my case, what's important to me is staying actively creative. My husband was telling me the story about this person he works with who drove for, I don't even know, like miles. I probably that was in the story and I might not have been listening. Sorry, Paul. But this guy was driving for hours at the beginning of all this self-isolation thing so that he could attend a gym that had stayed open longer, I guess, than his gym. And at first I was thinking, well, that seems a bit extreme, right? But the reality is I'm not an athletic person, so I don't value that. I don't find that important. Where I get my creative ideas and my host of I don't know, passion, I guess, it comes from painting. So, and it's not just painting, it's creating anything really. I really love, and you know, you can tell me if you're with me here, but I just really love when a creative idea comes to me and, you know, it seems like, I don't know. It just seems to me like that might be a waste of time. It might be, you know, as if I'm going to get into that thing permanently. And then I act on it and I'm happy I did. So for instance, the other day I had this idea, I don't know why, but I had this idea that it would be nice to actually feel like it was really spring. And so I went outside to the garden and I cut some crabapple branches, and then I went inside and I Googled forcing flowering blossoms in your indoors, and there was all kinds of posts and everything else, and I thought that would be really cool. So anyway, I cut the branches, brought them in, put them in the water, did what they told me to do, and then I put them in my pardon me, it's my breakfast. I put them in a container of water, and then just walking by this morning, I kind of forgot about them, and then walking by this morning, I saw this first green bud opening, and that feeling that I had, that sensation of I should go outside and cut branches and force spring into my house and into my life, that same creative feeling that was instigated and that instigated the me going outside and actually doing that, getting the branches, that same feeling came back today when I saw that little bud. It was almost like I had the idea, and then today I finally started to reap the benefits of following that creative muse. So that is, to me, it's really interesting anyway, only because that creative feeling, like after I cut the branches and I put them in the house, I thought to myself, are you kidding me? Like, it was so unsatisfying because the branches hadn't opened. Anyway, I had responded to that creative muse, and all that is to say, today that reaping of those benefits came flooding back, and I was really excited, and I can't wait now to check on my branches every day and see how they're doing. So, and the same with even this painting. So this painting that I have been working on, 2 days ago, it started out as just a collaged background of newsprint. And I've only worked on it for the 2 hours that it's been live in front of my little audience here. But I have to say, it's really starting to speak to me. I get excited because I take pictures of it, of course, and then when I go home, and I really do have to force myself not to work on it while I'm, or after I'm done the broadcast, because I said I was going to do it live, and I really wanted to make sure that I was true to that and that I kept it live for you. In case anybody had any questions or anything about my process or my techniques or anything like that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have. But again, remembering that the purpose of this video or these videos every day is meant to inspire, and it's meant to get you back into your studios, back into your creative spaces, back into your journals, back into that whichever makes you the most creative person you can be. So that's why I am opening up my studio, because I have the privilege of not being open to the public in this beautiful studio space. And it allows me to come in here every day and to work and have some semblance of normalcy. And it's I realize that that's not everybody's privilege, so that's why I'm saying whatever your privilege is for creativity, allow yourself at very, very least, allow yourself the time to do something creative. A lot of people talk about how this time is giving them time to do other projects, like paint their houses and clean up and do all kinds of things. And I believe that all those things are wonderful and probably necessary and a bit of a break from the norm for most of you. But I think it's really important that we also stay creative. So I don't consider staying or painting just a way of staying busy. I look at creativity as the way inside. And what that means to me is a lot of people find themselves looking to connect a little better with themselves through meditation, through exercise, through all kinds of things. Not one of those things are bad. It's just how you connect. And so the way I connect is through creativity, and my intention through these daily videos is to remind some of you, maybe who just can't stop watching, to remind some of you that this is not an art class. There's plenty of art classes you can take right now online. Myself, I'm working on a series right now, so that if you are interested in actual classes, I will be translating that into virtual classes as well. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is just to engage your creativity, whatever that may be. And if every day you say to yourself, oh, I have to go and paint now, or oh, I have to go and write my poetry now, or I have to whatever. Sometimes it feels like a bit of a chore to get back into something that you've put down and you've let slide for a while. But I can't even begin to tell you how rewarding it is once your creativity is actually engaged and it doesn't want you to put that paintbrush or that pen or whatever it is you're doing. It doesn't want you to put that down because it's found a way inside of you. And I think that more than anything is not only the goal of these videos, but I think it's one of my jobs in life is to serve artists, to wake them up to their own creativity. And like I said, again, it's not just painting, that's just what I teach. But I know lots of you out there who've got your scrapbooks out, or those who have your journals or your songwriting books out. Kudos, because that's exactly what it is you need to do at this time. Even if you only take, I hate to put time on it because I would honestly love to do this all day long. but I'm allowing myself 1 hour every day of just time to play. And I'm very grateful to all of you who have joined me, because it's really important to me that I do my part in serving. And my part in serving is to make sure that, that people remain creative. What is your black pencil? Asked Sophie. Great question, Sophie. I can actually read the comments. This is great. So, Stabilo, it's hard to see, but because it's got so much paint on it. Stabilo is an Italian pencil maker. And the end is the most important thing when you're looking for pencils, to identify who makes them and whatever. The pencil that you're looking for looks like this. It's black and it's got white circle around it, and then a little white thing in the middle, which looks like a chickadee at this point, but it's not, it's a swan. So it's called Stabilo is the manufacturer, and this is called an awl, an A-L-L. And the reason why they call it an awl pencil is because it writes on glass, plastic, metal, paint. It doesn't matter, it writes on all surfaces. So the reason why I end up using this pencil a lot is because I can make some lines. As you can see, I've got a really fine line there. Actually, let me turn it around and then you'll be able to see it. So I just did a really fine line with it right there. And now I can use water, or I can use my paint, and you can see I can activate that line because it's water soluble. But the difference from that water soluble crayon and most water soluble crayons is that this one writes on all surfaces. So that is important to me because you can see, so I've got some over here, I've got some down here. What's important to me about that pencil, you can see what happens when I spray it. It turns really dark and it drips. Then alternatively, if I don't like some of the marks, I can go in and I can wipe it out because it's completely water soluble. This one here, I've got a little bit of it going through here. I'll get rid of some of it. But the reason I like this pencil over just regular old water soluble pencils or crayons is because this one writes on top of my wax. So when the wax is warm, because I will transition this painting into an encaustic one. So when this painting is, or wax is warm, I can't write on it because it's too soft and impressionable. But what I do love about it is that once it is, let me think here, sorry, lost my train of thought. Once it is cool, once the wax is cool, I can go back in and I can actually, there we go. I don't know, you can see those lines are pretty subtle. But then I can go back in and I can actually draw on top of the wax, which is really important to me, that I have things that are compatible with the wax. Okay, there we go. Awesome. Okay, so Sophie wants to know where you can buy that pencil. So any art supply store, especially ones that are open. I don't know which ones are open for you at this time. I think you're from Montreal, if I'm correct. I don't know if you have Dessert. I know you have Dessert, but I don't know if they're selling online right now. If they are and they don't have that pencil, you can always request it. So it's Stabilo, S-T-A-B-I-L-O, is the manufacturer, and the pencil is an A-L-L pencil. And it comes in blue, green, red, yellow, and black. I only actually ever use the black one. I have the other ones, but I just myself, I just don't find I use them. So you're probably going to ask, what is this disgusting stuff you're applying? I always keep a jug of, I don't even know what you want to call this. It's like dirty water. And I just keep adding more water to it, and then I clean my brushes in it sometimes. And the purpose of the dirty water for me is only because I really love drips. And it's, I don't know what it is. I just like dirty water. That's kind of crazy when I actually say that out loud. But I have a few drips here of the dirty water, and I don't know, it just adds something for me anyway. Yeah. Maybe it's warmth. That's what I like. And because I was talking before about how I like decay, and I like there, that's beautiful, if I do say so myself. Yeah, a little dirt. I guess that's what it is. It's also like clothes. Like, I actually don't like to wear new clothes right off the rack when they're all clean and pristine and ironed and that sort of thing. I actually like them with a little dirt on them. I don't know what that is, but so if I can actually sleep with them on one time or something like that, I actually appreciate that little worn in look. And I think it's the same thing with that dirty water. It just looks to me like it's a little bit worn in. Anyway, let's address this area here before I get to my imagery, because that's the part where I was saying I like to tell a story in a painting, and this is definitely the time to do it. So I'm going to look at my, no, that's a bad color. Oh, that's a good color. It's a bad color. I'm looking at my chalk paints here, and I'm trying to pick something that might calm this area down, or even, I don't know, maybe brighten it up. I'm not really sure what I want to do with it. And the only way I can really tell that is by actually putting something there. These are chalk paints that I'm playing with, and maybe this is a benign color. I'll try this. So I never usually use a paint straight out of the tube anyway, so I'm going to take that color, take a bit of white, take a bit of that yellow that I just said no to, take a bit of my dirty water. That's actually a good idea. Take a bit of my dirty water, and let's just add some of that to my palette. And let's just see what we get out of this. So, like I said, I just want to stain maybe this area a little bit, but I don't know what I want to do. So this is classic Christina Lovisa. This is where I just layer on paint and remove it and see what happens. So I can't really know what I want to do until I actually try. So I don't have that gift of foresight in my painting saying, oh, this is exactly the next step and what I want to do. What I do is a lot of trial and error. And when I'm teaching, I often hear people say, oh, I just made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I should take that part out. I actually don't believe in that. I believe that you have to try, but that's just because that's the way I paint. So I have to try. I have to see what works. I have to see if, here we go. I have to see how the contrast looks. Contrast and value is everything to me in a painting. Those of you who've taken workshops with me know exactly what I'm talking about. I believe that the value in your painting, meaning the greatest area of high and low contrast, is what will actually draw one into a painting and have people looking at it and buying it, hopefully. But more often than not, it's just relating to it. So, all right. So this dirty, greeny, yellow, brown color, it's kind of working. It's kind of working as a background more than anything for me. I'm going to add a bit of water to it, and then I might just experiment a little more with some of these drips. So what are you all working on? I hope everybody's posting pictures and showing me what you're doing. Doesn't need to be a finished product. I am absolutely just putting myself out there showing you that it really does not need to be a finished project or product. It just needs to be about starting something. So I'm just catching all my drips with some paper towel here. And that water that I sprayed on there, which is super corrosive to the painting, is actually done a pretty good job of letting some of that newsprint show through. And it's not bad. It's still a little snoozy, but we'll work on that in a bit. It just needs to dry a little bit before I get going on it too much. Anybody want me to flip the camera so that you can look at it a little better? Let's do that. Whoops. Okay, let me flip that. Not on me. Hi. There, let's turn it around on the painting. Okay, so this is about 2.5 hours of work now, guys. So all it is a very abstract background, but it's been in response to everything we've been talking about. And as I'm talking, I am super distracted from being able to really concentrate and think about my painting. But that is serving me extremely well because I'm just responding to the painting. I look up and I'm like, oh, that looks too solid up there. I need to grab a baby wipe and I need to wipe that. But I didn't stand back and consciously go, what's the next step? I'm just, as I'm talking to you and I'm trying to keep my thoughts straight, I'm responding to what I'm seeing in my painting. So in this case, these contrast lines seemed a wee bit harsh. And so my first reaction was, oh, okay, just dial that back a little bit. So that's why I pulled out my baby wipes. And I'm just going to dial those back a little bit. But I'll get back to that in a second. But I just want to show you this piece now. So as we talked about before, the way I work is very intuitively into my backgrounds. And I just put something on, take it off, try it, keep working, keep adding until, I don't know, there's like a little whisper, and the little whisper says to me, it's time to tell the story. So when we first started 2 days ago, I made some random scratches and marks, which gave me my direction for this painting. And this abstract-y circle thing came out of the middle. And it's very interesting because my viewers and me all of a sudden said, oh, it's the world, it's the earth. And then the more drips I keep doing, I can't get away from it. One of my viewers yesterday, Judy, said, oh, the earth is crying, the world is crying. And it actually made me super sad thinking about that because we are, globally crying. And when I look at this painting, it tells me that there is definitely a story being told, and it is, I'm not sure why I just thought of the French word, au courant, but it is current. It is what's happening right now. And it's sad, but at the same time, it made me think of my subject for this painting. So here goes. I'm going to turn this around. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I'm going to show you the table surface I'm working with. So you absolutely do not have to be organized when you start a painting like this, because this is just absolutely showing you my process, which is just put some stuff out in front of you and play and see what happens. So I'm going to turn that around so that I can set this back up again. And then let's start to tell the story with this painting. So as I was just talking about, now let me turn that. There we go. So when somebody commented yesterday that the earth was crying, it made me super sad for a moment, thinking about the situation that we're in globally right now. And, and I just let that emotion come, and I was like, it is sad. And so my first reaction was, well, maybe I shouldn't be painting something that is sad. And then I thought, but it's not about the sadness for me. It's about allowing the recognition of the emotions. So yeah, it is very sad what's going on. But now I'm going to show you how I translate these abstract backgrounds, which are telling a story, into a real story. So when I showed you over on my table, I had images. And the other day when I was talking about adding an image, I had talked about adding an elk. And it was really funny because if anybody was watching yesterday, my elk actually glued to the table and it completely wouldn't work. And I had painstakingly cut it out. And it occurred to me that the elk wasn't supposed to be in that painting. So then I came across these chickadees. And it dawned on me that this crying earth and this crying earth painting, which is how I paint, it's a channeling of sorts. It's an intuitive knowing that I'm just picking up on the energy that's around me. And I translate that energy into a piece of art. So using these chickadees, I'm going to show you how I'm going to take this painting and change it from one of sadness, which was recognized the other day in this abstract earth that was crying with all my drips in it. It's funny, the drips before were blue and they were really obvious and they were really bothering me, and I guess that's why, is because I didn't want to feel that emotion. And so once I actually allowed myself to feel that and to recognize that, it almost seemed too late because I got really very quickly like, I have to cover it up. So I glued 2 layers of paper over it to hide the drips. And even today, with what I've been just intuitively playing with, those drips have come back. So it just really shows me that I may think that I'm smarter than my paintings half the time, but the reality is, if I open myself up and just allow them to speak for me, then they will absolutely tell me what's going on in the world rather than me having to tell them what's going on in the world. So this painting, which went from a sad, crying world, is now going to be sprung into one of hope by the simple addition of this little bird. So let me position him just right. And then I might do a second one, because this little bird represents hope in this crying world painting. Whoops. Poor little guy. Alouette, gentil. I just pulled his tail off. Okay, there we go. So this painting now, in my estimation, is one of, let me turn this around again. Okay, so this painting, which moments ago I was told represents and looks like a crying world, now with the simple little addition of this bird, which I'll incorporate, of course, represents hope for, I don't know, a better tomorrow? Is that a good way of putting it? We're all hopeful right now that things will change and things will get better. And, well, I guess change is upon us. Nothing we can do about that. But how you adapt and how you react to that is very individual. It's very personal. For me, I recognize my contribution, my energy at this moment is going to be to uplift creatives, is just to get everybody in the studio, get everybody pulling out your journals, get everybody writing, get everybody adding a positive creative energy, whatever that looks like. Some people say add prayer. If you add prayer, the energy shifts. I believe in adding creativity. I believe in recognizing and honoring your creativity in this time, and beautiful things will come out. I am hopeful of that, and that's what that little chickadee represents to me, is the hope and the beauty of a continued beautiful world, and that everyone finds their place in this unprecedented time. And yeah, we can just only do what we can, right? So contribute, everybody, by anyone who is still watching or who watches this later. Contribute by sharing these videos and encouraging others to pull out their journals, their creative tools, their whatever it is makes them happy, and let's just get creative together. And I honestly do believe that good things will come of this. So I'm going to turn the camera back around so I can say bye to everybody. I'm going to continue painting for a little bit, but the next few days, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start transitioning these paintings that I've been working on into encaustic ones. So for anybody looking for a little insight as to how I do that, that will be, again, like a little tutorial, more so than my ramblings and my thoughts. Maybe one day I'll be able to move this into a live chat so that we can all talk instead of me just going on and on. But as I mentioned before, the purpose of this and the purpose of my paintings and the purpose of this open studio, positive, lovely things. So for everything, and I will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.